喋ったことが現実になった。
How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Chaos Child. So in the last episode, we finally got to see Kazuki's abilities in action. We found out in Arimura's route that yes, she is a gigalomaniac. It truly is just a club full of psychics, except for Ito, but I guess he's special. I call it a coincidence, but it's too much to be a coincidence, but that's besides the point. The point is that we got to see her powers instead of just hearing about it, and it's really wild when you think about it. The reason why she can't even talk. It's pretty crazy. And, well, I guess going forward we'll have to, maybe learn more about her, how that ability came to be, and I'm assuming that there'll be something to come up plot-wise, a plot that's unrelated to the main plot in the common route. I kind of get nervous thinking about it, to be honest, because of what happened in Arimura's route, but fingers crossed for a good ending. But let us continue on.
それだけじゃないかもだけど。
That wasn't all.
自分の言葉の何が現実化して何が現実化しないか、私にもわかんないかも。
Nighthart had said that she couldn't control it. Also, by the way, thank you to everybody who mentioned that Nighthart was actually the main character from Chaos Head. I don't think there was any way I was going to know that without playing the original, but it is kind of cool to know that what's-his-face, I actually already forgot his name, Takumi or whatever. It's very close to our main character's name. I know that for a fact. It's good to know that he's still kicking after whatever crazy events happened in Chaos Head. That's why she'd been shouting all those words on the roof. She might have thought that at least one of them would work.
感染型っていうのはどういう意味？
中学の頃、仲いい友達がいて、いつも一緒だった。その子と一緒にいるの、すごく楽しくて、姉妹みたいだったかも。でも、私の力のせいで。
Her expression clouded. I thought she'd stop talking, but I was wrong.
きっかけは、何気ない言葉だったかも。ごく普通の会話の中の言葉。でもその言葉、いろんな人に感染していて、私の知らないところで私の言葉は私の言葉じゃなくなって、全然別の意味になっちゃってたかもしれなくて、自分でもそんな言葉喋ったの忘れちゃったくらいの頃、その言葉が現実化して、そのせいで私の大切な友達家族バラバラになっちゃった。
What the fuck was said?
その子のお父さん自殺して、
that's not good.
その子のお母さん薬物に手出して、
That's not good either.
その子のお姉さん知らない男の人たちに拉致されて行方知れずで、その子は頭おかしくなっちゃった。元をたどっていったら私の言葉のせいだったかも。かもじゃなくて私のせい。こんな力なければよかったって思ったけど、なくすことできないなら、それなら一言も喋らなければもう誰か傷つけることないかもって。壁法入ってから喋ったの、タクル先輩が初めて。
So that's why she didn't talk. If she talked, her power might activate. And if what Nighthart said was true, she couldn't control it. There was no way to prove whether or not what had happened to her in middle school was really because of her power. But even so, if she'd been able to control it, she'd probably asked herself that question a million times. Maybe remaining silent was her way of punishing herself. I asked Kazuki's permission to type a question to Nighthart. Alright, yeah, there's the rest of that conversation. May I ask a question? Why can't Kazuki control her power? No emoji? Who are you? A member of her club at school. Oh, Miyashiro. Huh? How did you know my name? Kazuki told me about you yesterday. She said there was a moron in her club who had psychic powers, but oh, well. Her face went red and she frantically shook her head.
相談したけど、タクル先輩、最近変な力手に入れたみたいだったかもだから、人前とかで使いすぎると危ないかもって思って。でもバカとか言ってないかも。
Maybe. But you didn't know how to use them, lol. Why is it that Kazuki can't control her powers? This is just what I've gleaned from talking to her, but... Oh, what I'm about to tell you is top secret stuff, don't go around repeating it. You know how you need a shared idea to real boot a delusion, right? In my case, I chose a target to show the delusion and then plug the delusion directly into their mind. Sometimes that delusion involves sex, other times it involves sex, on other occasions there was also sex. You can skip the jokes. I was serious. What's important is that you're plugging that delusion directly into the target's brain. That's what creates a clear mental image that can be shared. This clear image is what's needed for a successful real boot, but Kazuki can't do that. All Kazuki can do is spread the information energy from her delusions via sound. Sound contains no visual information, which means the mental image itself becomes vague. It's a lot less reliable than implanting an image directly. Just like it's hard to visualize an image based off a description, right? Of course an otaku like me can do that easy, as long as it has something to do with sex. But Kazuki's power has one other trait that makes it unique. Anyone who hears her voice is able to echo it. That's why I called it communicable. It's just like a rumor. It grows and changes and it spreads like a game of telephone. Imagine a guy giving a speech in front of a station. That's her spreading her delusions to a random group of people. Now imagine someone passing by hears that delusion and takes it to school and tells it to a friend there. Then let's say that person repeats it to someone else. The contents of the speech echo and expand. In the same way, Kazuki's sound can spread even when she's not there. That's what makes her different from a typical gigalomaniac. But even if it echoes, it's extremely rare for it to real boot. Like I said before, delusions spread by sound are very vague, and if the details are different, there's no sound, or there's no shared image to be real booted. God damn, this is hard, but once in a while, there's an extremely low probability that several people will imagine the exact same image when they hear a given word. When that happens, Kazuki's delusion is real booted, whether she wanted it to be or not. When Kazuki speaks, she has no way of knowing. God damn it! How do I remove this? That was a lot of information to take in. I think I get what's being said. I tried as hard as I could to understand everything that Nighthart was saying. Well, go back down. A rumor could, under certain circumstances, turn into a form of demagoguery fuck me, capable of altering an entire society. So Kazuki's power was the same thing as that? That would explain why it wasn't safe for her to talk. It must have been a terrifying possibility to her. It's just like a okay, wait. She has no way of knowing. Astronomically low chance two people somewhere share the same mental image. It's all a coincidence. So what about the ESO2 portal device? It was real booted last night when Kazuki spoke. Oh, so that news story was you guys. Why a portal device? I just told you that she can't control her powers, right? Someone who heard it just happened to know about ESO2's portal devices, and it just happened to be real booted. That's all, it's just a coincidence. Of course, you could say that it's a coincidence that the other things she said weren't real booted. The second the woman who was attacking us touched the portal, she disappeared. Where do you think she went? Oh, you know. She's probably dead, right? Yeah, probably. He could type the words like they were nothing at all, even though it was something neither Kazuki nor I wanted to accept. That portal device was the only one that got real booted, right? I ran a net search and didn't see any others. In ESO2, if you touch a portal device, you get warped to another one. But if there's only one device, there's nowhere for her to warp to, right? She was probably transported to a dimensional rift or dissolved to the subatomic level. Of course, even if there were two portal devices, I don't think you'd actually be able to teleport between them, because basically it only recreated its appearance. There we go. The cold words appeared on the computer's LCD monitor. Kazuki and I both stared at them. She was dead. The woman was dead. Hearing it from an objective third party made me want to throw up. Oh, sorry, I've got to log off. Gotta go to Nippon Bashi and get me a Yuminohara Mimi figure. Are you in Osaka? Sure, why not? Why so vague? I'm actually super busy these days, running all around the world. I haven't been able to make it to Akihabara in a while, actually sucks. So today, I'm having an otaku merchandise hunting party. Furthermore, I will be the only one participating. Last night I was so excited I got 2 hours of sleep, wow. Actually, did you hear about the last episode of Gunveral being cancelled? I know there's something going on with that, like the staff got into a fight or something. My otaku sense is tingling. The Mimi figures are going to be in high demand real soon. That's why I'm gonna get them while I can. I can make a fortune reselling them. Anyway, you kids have fun, LOL. Goodbye. Was this the kind of person that Nighthart was? I was a little disappointed, maybe?
変数2でしか会えないかもだから、結構コンタクト取るの面倒かも。ログインすれば大抵いるけど。
It was a weekday, but he said he was going to Nippon Bashi. He also said he was traveling around the whole world. Both of those statements seemed like lies. Who was he, really? I didn't get to ask him about what happened 6 years ago, either. But there was no point in thinking about Nighthart now. What should we do? Go to the police? Or pretend we don't know anything? Should we pretend that we weren't even at school last night? Should I tell Serika and Kitazu? But rumors weren't something you could control. The more people that knew a secret, the more likely it was to leak.
昨日のことは僕と和樹だけの秘密にしよう。
Sorry, I was getting a drink. That was a lot of talking. Kazuki froze and looked at me pleadingly.
それでしばらく様子を見る。
I still didn't know why that woman had attacked us. It didn't seem to have to do anything with the return of the new generation madness, though. The way she attacked us was way too different from the other murders. I don't know why I exaggerated how different that was. The most likely possibility was that she was a psychopath, but that was only a theory. A psychic theory. Maybe someone else was controlling her. It would be best to be careful. I should avoid attracting any attention. Maybe I should shut down the newspaper club for a while too.
Takuru senpai, ごめんなさい。
For some reason, she apologized. Even though it wasn't her fault. If anything, it was my fault for getting her involved.
これで分かったかもしれないけど、先輩も私と これ以上話さない方がいいかも。私の声、良くないこと引き起こしちゃうから。こんな声、なければよかった。
She looked down, her expression sad. Her power was making her suffer. As an older student from her club, I should probably say something to her. She'd used her power to save me, even though she hated it.
なあ、カズキ。昨日、助けてくれて、ありがとう。感謝してるんだ。カズキ自身は力を嫌っているかもしれないけどさ。僕はその力のおかげで今も生きてるわけで。それにほら、そう、あれだ。そんなにカズキの声悪くないと思う。可愛い声してるって、本当にお世辞じゃなくて。だから、そんなに自分の声のことを否定するなよ。
Wow, that was pretty embarrassing to say. I could feel the sweat beating on my forehead. Still no response. But Kazuki didn't respond at all. She was looking down at her cell phone. Huh? I looked closer and saw that there was a cord running from it to her ears. Oh, well, shit. She didn't even hear that. What the hell? I just have to go back to sleep. I went to a corner of the room, buried my head in my knees, and tried to sleep.
ありがとう、先輩。
Maybe she did hear us. For the next 2 days, Kazuki and I spent all of our time in this room doing nothing at all. A few days ago, I never would have imagined I'd be living in a room with a girl from my club. But sadly, nothing romantic had happened at all. Sadly. All I did was watch the news on TV. I wanted to look online, but Kazuki was using the computer the whole time and wouldn't give it to me. Even now, Kazuki was seated in front of the only computer in the room, a low-spec, compact laptop. There was an angry glare in her eyes as she stared at it. It was like she was trying to intimidate her monitor. Her frustration was plain to see on her face. She was a totally different person than the one who'd cried as she told me about her powers 2 days ago. Actually, this was the Kazuki I always saw in the club room, wasn't it? She slammed her fist against the table in annoyance. Yeah, same old good old Kazuki. I thought I could hear the sound of her gritting her teeth.
ゲームにそんなに熱くなるなよ。また負けたのか?
It's only game. Why you have to be mad? She was sulking. If you let her, Kazuki Hana would spend the whole day playing video games. She would barely even eat. The only food in the room was dried squid and lollipops, both of which were available in enormous quantities, and it freaked me out a little, honestly. Of course, thanks to them, I was able to eat something without having to leave. Kazuki ran her fingers through her hair violently, trying to vent her frustration. She'd been angry ever since yesterday. When I asked her what was wrong, she'd said,
この PC じゃスペック低すぎてまともにゲームできない。
Basically, she was having withdrawal symptoms from being unable to play her games. Sheesh. You know, I used to have a shitty computer for recording and everything, so I know how it is. Like, I remember when I first upgraded to a real computer, like a big boy computer. When I first played Rocket League, I noticed just how beautiful the game was, and I had never seen such beauty out of Rocket League before. It was truly something else. And then she slowly stood up and headed for the door.
どこか行くのか?
For the past 2 days, she'd been unwilling to leave the room. She was probably still thinking about what had happened at the school. I'd felt bad about it, since I was the one who'd gotten her involved. Had she recovered?
学校ゲームしに。
お前な。
I was too shocked to say anything. She couldn't handle playing the game on her low-spec PC anymore? Sure, the one in the clubroom was pretty high-end, but... Sorry. I felt like I'd solved the mystery of why she was always playing in the clubroom. It was never clear if that computer belonged to the school or was someone's personal property. It was one of the 7 mysteries of the newspaper club. Well, what are the other 6? Like, why is everybody a gigalomaniac? I didn't really try to stop her. I didn't feel like going to school yet. Part of it was that if I did, I'd remember the terror I'd felt. But more importantly, I didn't want to answer all the questions I knew Kitazu and Ito were going to ask. That was why I'd spent the last 2 days cooped up in this room. No one knew I was here right now. I'd been getting calls from Sarika and Kitazu all day since yesterday, but I'd ignored them all. Ah yes, and our non-existent phone. I was sure Kazuki was going to leave, but instead she turned around once she got to the front door. It looked like she was still hesitant about going outside.
そんなにゲームって面白いのか?
I'd never been able to get into a game as much as Kazuki did. All I ever did was play a few to kill some time. All I do with games is record them, or play with friends. It's honestly really difficult for me to enjoy a game by myself now. Like, it's gotten really difficult to do that. I think the last game that I truly got to enjoy by myself was... shoot, what was it? I can't remember if it was Persona 5 or Nier Automata. Probably Nier, but before that it was Persona. I can't remember which one I played first, and which one I played after. But definitely one of those. But when I saw how Kazuki's life seemed to revolve around her game, I started to wonder, what was so interesting about it?
なあ、さっき和樹がやっていたゲーム、僕もちょっとやってみていいか?
Kazuki nodded, so I sat down in front of her PC, or of the PC. The game screen was still displayed on the monitor. Oh, I guess another game that I attempted to, or I put a lot of hours into but have not finished is Final Fantasy X. That one's a lot of fun, it's just, god damn, the story is fucking confusing. It was a Western game called Call of Counterfield.
これ、銃で撃ち合うゲームだよな。
Yes. Yes. I think they're called FPS, right?
どうやって操作するんだ?
WASD. Kazuki sighed a little and came over to me.
マウス、手を乗せて。
She moved my hand to the mouse. My hand was on top of the mouse, and Kazuki's hand was on top of mine. She was so close. She was right on top of me.
移動は
She's a real gamer girl.
W A S D ダッシュはシフトキー。グレネード投げるのが G。
Holy shit, this is too real. I was too focused on Kazuki to listen to what she was saying.
じゃあやってみて。かも。
I have my grenade key set to pressing in on my mouse wheel. I don't know if that's like the new norm. Kazuki started the game without me. I also have my melee to one of my mouse buttons and my push to talk as well. Push to talk on the mic, or push to talk on the mouse to key up the mic is such a good thing, rather than trying to like reach over to a button on the keyboard, by the way. Just saying, guys, just saying. I was placed into a lobby while the game matched me with someone else, but only for a second before it threw me right into the middle of a match.
なんだこれ?
I was so caught off guard that I panicked a little. And when I moved, the screen was jerky. It was really hard to control. Even if I found someone to try and shoot, they'd shoot me first and I'd die. I ended the game with 0 kills and 31 deaths. That was me whenever I started playing COD on console. Me and the boys, we would always get COD on console. It started with Infinite Warfare, one of them. And I think the one that I played after that was World War II. And I didn't have a lot of fun with either of those. But man, once I got COD on the PC, this latest one, Modern Warfare, holy shit, it's a bunch of fun, especially with friends. I highly recommend it if you want a toxic shooter. That was not good. I don't know how Kazuki managed to play with the screen, or when the screen was this jerky. The computer's specs weren't nearly good enough. I felt like I understood why she was so stressed out.
タクル先輩、下手くそかも。
Oh yeah, definitely.
初心者だし、画面カクカクだし。それにその腕に触れているのが気になって集中できなかったから。
She kept whispering not that way, dummy, no, and not there in my ear too.
手だってずっと置きっぱなしだし。
I'm also a pretty bad backseat gamer. Just watch like the last couple Persona 4 Golden videos I made before we stopped making them with my buddy One Fime. Like I suck at it. I'm really bad at being patient and letting other people play games that I've played with me. Did that make any sense? Kazuki's right hand had been on top of mine during the whole game. Kazuki seemed to finally notice how close we were. She was right next to me, so close I could feel her breathing. Her eyes went wide and her face flushed red. Her breath tickled my cheek. Neither of us had showered in 2 days, so I could smell the sweat on her body. We were close enough to kiss. Cool Cat Press would tell me that this was a sign that it was okay to push her down. No, Cool Cat Press, it's not okay to do that. And we were alone in her room. I couldn't take my eyes off her soft lips. This was bad. I didn't know what was going on, but this had to be bad.
Kazuki. 僕は
Guys, I got a bad feeling. Oh, there we go. I was waiting for the anime interruption. Suddenly, the intercom rang. I came back to my senses and leapt away from Kazuki. That scared me. But it saved me, too. If it hadn't interrupted, I might have put my hands on Kazuki. That's rape. That was something that superficial normies did. I wasn't like those normies. I was a more stoic sort of normie. Yeah, that's right. Yep. Kazuki glanced at me as I tried frantically to calm myself down, then picked up the intercom receiver. Wait, she didn't talk on the intercom either? How was she supposed to communicate with anyone? Kazuki slowly put down the receiver. It looked like she'd managed to communicate with them. She turned to me, and looked like something was troubling her.
いや、喋っていいよ。っていうか喋ってくれ。
のの先輩が来た。
Uh-oh. That's right. Just talk normally. It'll take more than a word or two to doom me.
Huh?
Nono was here. I was doomed. Why would Kitazu visit Kazuki's room? Of course, there was only one reason.
学校には来ない。トレーラーハウスには帰ってこない。青葉寮にも戻らない。セリカのところにもいない。伊藤くんのところにも行っていない。となれば、その次の選択肢はここでしょう。タクルは友達少ないから、新聞部の部員以外に頼れる人はいなさそうだし。まさか、本当に和樹の部屋に押しかけているなんて、夢にも思わなかったけど。
Yeah, I never thought we'd be here either, but things happen. I was relieved to see that Kitazu looked healthy. Oh yeah, that's right. I probably didn't have to worry about her knife wound anymore. But she was mad. This was the extra mad version of Kitazu. I knew it was my own fault for calling Sarika once on Tuesday morning, and then ignoring everyone's calls. I wanted to run away if I could.
それで聞かせてくれない？まずどうしてタクルが和樹の部屋にいるのか。
That's where she wanted to start? She didn't care about what happened when I was attacked by the pyrokinetic?
タクル、答えなさい。
成り行きで。
月曜日のことが関係しているの？
Kazuki and I both nodded at the same time.
そう。だからって、 同年代の女子の部屋に3日間も居座っているのは高校生としての自覚に欠けると思わない？
Good point. You could tell that she was the student council president.
和樹に迷惑だと思わないの？
それは。
Kazuki shook her head. She was embarrassed for some reason. Evidently, she hadn't thought it was a bother.
本当に？タクルが先輩だから遠慮しているんじゃない？
Kazuki kept shaking her head. She seemed to have no intention of talking.
もしかしてあなたたち付き合っているとかそういうこと？
Oh, that was good. Both Kazuki and I shook our heads as hard as we could. I mean, well, I could understand where she'd gotten that idea.
そうなの。
For some reason, Kitazu looked a little relieved.
タクル、もう大丈夫なのよね。
By okay, she probably meant what happened Monday. I was sure she'd been worried too.
大丈夫だと思う。僕らを襲ってきたあの女はもう渋谷にはいないはずだから。
Of course, I didn't say that it was because we killed her.
だったら学校に出てきたら？セリカや伊藤君を心配してる。家に一人でいるのが不安なら青葉寮に来ればいいし。
Nah, let's not do that.
そういうわけにはいかない。もしかしたらあの女の狙いは最初から僕だったかもしれないんだ。
Even if the odds were low now, they weren't zero.
だからクルスや尾上と一緒にいると巻き込んでしまう。青葉寮には父さんやユイやユウトもいるんだ。
和樹なら巻き込んでもいいっていうこと？
それは和樹はすでに巻き込んでしまったんだ。だから。
Kitazu stared at my clothes. I hadn't changed out of the blood-stained shirt since Wednesday. Kitazu would be really worried about that, of course.
やっぱり学校での事件はあなたたちが関係していたのね。
I nodded.
一体何が起きたの？
和樹は。
Kazuki and I looked at one another. But Kazuki quickly looked down. Come on, we gotta tell her. I needed to keep her power and what we'd done at school on Monday a secret.
僕を助けてくれた。そのおかげで和樹まで狙われる可能性がある。それだけしか言えない。これはクルスや尾上たちを巻き込まないためでもあるんだ。分かってほしい。
いつもと同じね。
Ah, come on, dude. Kitazu smiled sadly.
いいわ。
クルス、僕は。
Kazuki suddenly offered us both a lollipop. She was trying to say that these were for us, evidently.
ありがとう。まったく、セリカとは違う意味でマイペースな子ね。
Don't say that. She's too pure. Serika isn't. Kitazu chuckled inside and then took the lollipop. She didn't put it in her mouth, though. I took it, unwrapped it, and then plopped it in my mouth. It tasted like strawberry. A cloyingly sweet flavor soon filled my mouth.
和樹はタクルに迷惑かけられてない？この際だから言いたいことがあれば言っていいのよ。いいの？そう。タクルはあなたにとって先輩だけど、ここはあなたの部屋なんだから、主張するところはきちんと主張していいんだからね。
Wait, are we not leaving?
それと和樹、あなたお風呂入ってる？入ってないでしょ。タクルがいるせい
？Kazuki's face became beet red as she shook her head. It wasn't my fault. It was because she'd been playing too many video games.
私がタクルのこと見張っているから、今からシャワーだけでも浴びてくれば？ん？その後で買い出しに行ってくるわ。どうせちゃんとした食事してないでしょ。簡単なものだけど作ってあげる。タクルの着替えも必要でしょうし。
あ、それは。
That would be right.
ほら、カズキ、ささっと動いて。
Kitazu practically shoved Kazuki into the bathroom. Before long, I heard the sound of falling water. Yes. This was awkward. It was awkward enough to be enough being here with Kitazu, but I could hear almost every sound Kazuki made as she showered.
カズキはタクルに心を開いたのかしら。
Perhaps.
セリカと違ってカズキは誰に対しても壁を作っているから。あの子を見ていると時々ね、新聞部に勧誘してよかったのかなって思うことがある。
そういえば和樹を部に連れてきたのってクルスだったな。
ええ、新学期が始まって何日か経った頃かな。その日は風が強くてね、あの子一人でプリントの山を運んでいたんだけど、それが風で飛ばされちゃって困ってた。だから拾うのを手伝ってあげたの。でもあの通り全く喋らないでしょ。この子大丈夫かなって心配になって、職員室まで私もついて行ったのよ。そしたら和樹が何も言えないのをいいことに、担任の先生から余計なことまであれこれ頼まれちゃっていて、和樹が断れないでいたのを見かねて口を出したの。そんなことがあって、部活に入っていないなら新聞部においでって誘ったんだけど、おとなしそうだったから部活動とか興味ないかもって思ってた。そしたら何日かして部室にひょっこり顔を出したから、私の方がびっくりしちゃった。
So that's how it happened. That was just like Kitazu.
でもあの子が何を考えているのかなかなかわからなくて、私に言われて仕方なく新聞部に入ったんだったらどうしようって今でも時々考えるの。
本人は毎日部室に来ているんだから、いやいやっていうことはないと思う。
Her main reason was probably to play video games. But now I knew why Kitazu was more concerned about Kazuki than anyone else in the club room.
和樹はきっとクルスに感謝してるんじゃないかって僕は思うよ。いや、まあ実際はわからないけれど。
I was mumbling and stumbling over my words because it felt kind of like I was talking about myself.
和樹のことお願いね。仲良くしてあげて。
分かってるよ。同じ部員なんだし。
She really was nosy. That was why everybody counted on her as so much as the student council president. And then the door to the bathroom opened and Kazuki came tumbling out.
ずいぶん早いわね。5分も経ってないんじゃない？ちゃんと髪洗ったの？
Her hair was a little wet, and her cheeks were a little flushed from the hot shower. I could smell the pleasant scent of shampoo. Why did she look a little cuter than usual now that she was out of the shower?
ほら、ちゃんと髪拭きなさい。
Alright. Kitazu smiled gently and started to dry Kazuki's hair with a towel.
そんなに慌てて出てこなくてもよかったのに。
Kazuki fidgeted, as she let Kitazu dry her hair. And then, her stomach rumbled. Mine's been doing that for a while. Both Kitazu and I burst out laughing.
お腹空いたのね。いいわ。タクルの着替えも取りに行かなきゃいけないし、ついでに買い出しも行ってくる。食べたいものある？何でもいいのね。
For some reason, Kazuki got on the ground and bowed in gratitude. Sweet Jesus. About an hour later, Kitazu came back and made us a simple meal. The table was lined up with fried ginger pork, tofu, and onion miso soup, and a spinach salad.
本当に簡単に作ったものだから味は保証できないけど。
But I knew exactly how good at cooking Kitazu was. Until recently, she'd cooked for me every day. And Kitazu was best at simple dishes like these. She'd make several of them in the blink of an eye. Kazuki was looking at Kitazu's face to see if it was okay to eat.
どうぞ。
Kazuki put her hands together and bowed her head. She might not say anything, but she had good table manners. She took a bite of the ginger pork. After just one bite, her face broke out into a grin. I didn't know if I'd ever seen Kazuki smile like that before. Oh, I've seen it in some Delusions. It felt like I was seeing something really rare. She hadn't eaten any real food for the past 2 days, and normally she only ate lollipops and dried squid. Kitazu's cooking must have been a real feast for her.
気に入ってくれたみたいね。よかった。タクルも食べなさい。育ち盛りの男の子なんだから。
She was... Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say big sister mode. I would probably say motherly mode. But for now, I would be the obedient little brother. My top priority at the moment was filling my stomach. What the fuck? Kazuki was staring at Kitazu as if in a trance, a small piece of ginger pork still sticking out of the side of her mouth. I'd already learned from Cool Cat Press what that expression meant. It was the look of a woman in love. God damn it. Wait, did Kazuki like girls? No. There's no way. She was probably just looking up to Kitazu because she was older. Was it Sarika who had told me that girls in puberty were like that a lot?
ちょっとカズキ、ぼーっとしてないで、ちゃんと噛んで食べなさい。それと、肘をつかない。お行儀悪いわよ。
God damn. Hey, Kitazu. Kazuki is grateful to you for asking her to join the newspaper club. I'd been with her the whole time over the past 3 days, and finally I was starting to feel like I understood her. The disaster struck Shibuya 2 days after that. Uh-oh. The two of us were watching the afternoon news when they suddenly switched to a live broadcast near Shibuya Station. A young female reporter was leading a cameraman up the twisty twin street that ran from the station to Donganzaka. The text on the street said, "Mysterious object appears in Shibuya. What is it?"
私は今、渋谷駅から徒歩3分ほどのところにある路地に来ているのですが。
Ah.
ご覧ください。あの謎の物体。
The reporter pointed to a 1-meter-tall object that was floating at the end of the street. Both Kazuki and I recognized it at once. We'd seen it ourselves just a few days before.
ポータル装置。
Kazuki looked shocked. Her gaze was frozen on the TV screen. What was going on? There was no way the portal device could be on a street near the station. We'd seen it on the top of the school.
この物体は今朝になって匿名の通報があり発見されたものということなんですが。
The young reporter moved in front of the device and continued to speak.
現在、警察が詳しく調査中ということで、このように周囲一帯に規制が張られています。警察の話では爆弾の可能性もあるということなんですが、こうしてみますと、とても綺麗な形をしていますよね。ぼーっと光っていてすごく幻想的です。夜暗くなってから見てみたいなって個人的には思うわけなんですけれども。
Isn't it night right now? Actually, no, it isn't. It's daytime. It just looks dark in that alleyway.
地中のようなものがどこにも見当たらないということなんです。どうやら空中にふわふわと浮かんでいるらしいのですが、一体どういう原理でそうなっているのか。
おい、なんだあれ。
The cameraman on a TV show was never supposed to speak, but this one did. The reporter stopped talking and turned around to face the portal device. The camera showed that it was changing. The whole portal device was starting to emit a golden light.
ご覧ください。物体が先ほどよりもずっとこれは強く光っているように見えます。何があったのでしょうか。現場は騒然となっています。離れて、危ないから離れて。警察官の男性が我々にも下がるように言ってきていますね。やばくね。でもとっても綺麗じゃないですか。行きましょう。いや、おい。
What a brave reporter. The reporter gave a signal to the cameraman and started to walk toward the device. I gulped as I waited to see what would happen next. It's not a good idea to get close to that, I said in my mind. Of course, no matter what I said here, the reporter on the screen couldn't hear me.
この物体、一体どういう原理で光っているのでしょうか。よく見るとこれ、細かい光の粒が物体の周囲を渦巻いていますね。まるでアートのようです。光の粒がゆっくり集まりつつあります。綺麗。昔の SF 映画などにあったホログラム映像っていうんでしょうか。あれに似ているようにも見えますが、この形は何かの動物を表現しようとしているのでしょうか。動物、いや、それとも恐竜とかだったりするのかもしれませんね。
The reporter was as chipper as ever. She was speaking in the same way she'd do a food report at a local restaurant. I could see death flags popping up everywhere. I had a bad feeling. This is bad. And I couldn't help but remember the last look on that woman's face before she disappeared a few days ago. If that object on the screen was the same thing, this reporter was going to disappear as well. I looked away, not wanting to see it. I could hear the reporter raise her voice in surprise. I looked back at the monitor. What in the fuck is that? And I saw a monster I'd never seen before. I thought I'd switched the channel somehow, but I could see the reporter on the same screen as the monster. At first I thought it was CG. And that's how unreal it seemed. It looked like a dinosaur. Its skin was bright red, its legs were as big as a human torso, and it had giant wings on its back. Its wicked-looking black horns bent inward toward its jaw. There were 5 golden orbs like jewels shining on its forehead. I couldn't see any eyes where you'd expect them to be. Even on 4 legs, it was over twice the height of a human, and there were fangs in its huge mouth. The particles of light had come together to form that monster, and the TV camera had captured every second of it. Now that's good ratings. If it wasn't CG, it was unreal. And the monster was moving too. I whispered without even thinking about what I was doing. But the reporter was getting excited instead. Well, this bitch is dead and stupid. Ah. Well, that happened. Talk about ratings. It ate her. The reporter had gotten close to it, and it had swallowed her head in one bite. Now you see, if there was like a huge ass chomping noise or some shit, maybe it would have spooked me, but I kind of saw it coming at some point. I didn't think it was going to do it automatically either. But she was being really stupid if you think about it. Kazuki suddenly gave a start and screamed. The monster finished gnawing on the reporter's head and then grabbed the headless body in its mouth and shook it violently. The cameraman screamed and the video shook violently too. He must have thrown down the camera and ran. The image was a fixed shot of the monster's legs and the bloody head lying on the ground. And then... like zoinks. The monster roared. Its thick legs, started to move. It kicked the woman's head away. And then apparently stepped on the camera since the video cut out. Then the TV switched back to showing the studio where the newscasters and commentators were pale and sickly looking. Soon the image changed to a picture of a field of flowers with a message reading, "Please stand by." This was a nightmare. That was a live broadcast, right? That meant all of that really happened. Kazuki was covering her mouth with her hands and shaking. Her eyes were fixed on the TV screen.
今のなんだ
Kazuki slowly turned toward me, but she was too shocked to speak.
今のはなんだ
My assumption was that it was a creature from her game that got teleported here or some shit. All because of her power. Her words being kept with people. That echoing sort of deal that they were talking about. I ran over to her and started to shake her shoulders. She forced out the words with tears in her eyes.
フレームアークドラゴンかも演数2に出てくるモンスターレアモンスターだけど序盤から出てくるから演数2のユーザーじゃ有名かも。
それってつまり
私の妄想まだ反響続いてるんだ。
So a fictional monster appeared in reality. But Kazuki didn't make any kind of wish like that like that Monday night. Sorry, I got stumbled. So where did it come from? Had the words she said changed somehow? Kazuki can't control her own powers. I remembered what Nighthart had said and shuddered. A minute later, I booted up ESO2 and saw that Nighthart was logged in as well. Alright, well, we'll see what Nighthart has to say in the next episode. This is enough craziness for me, and I am hungry. I need to eat before I go work out. So, thank you all for watching this, wow, that was an episode. I wasn't exactly expecting that. Someone did say in the comments of the previous episode that things were about to get wild, or that we were going to go on a crazy trip of some sort. But this is Chaos Child, and we're always on a crazy trip, so I wasn't exactly expecting anything new. But how could I have not, like, I cannot really speak today. How could I have ever imagined something like that coming up? There's zero way I could have expected that. My expectations for craziness were definitely blown out of the water, but that's Chaos Child for you. I guess we'll see what happens next now that there's a fucking monster roaming the streets. And I'm sure everything is gonna get a lot crazier as we go on. Jesus, her power is just a fucking curse. Wow. And it's so technical too. It's really fucked. But thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy shit, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Take it easy.